my loves, I am Luna the Illest Witch, and today we are going to be learning to read tarot from the Wonderland Tarot deck. Now the only difference is in the minor arcana. This being said, the major arcana, 22 cards, are the same other than the illustrations, which are by Lewis Carroll's Alice in Wonderland and Through the Looking Glass. So in the minor arcana, the other 56 cards, we will see flamingos instead of swords, hats rather than cups, oysters rather than pentacles, and peppermills rather than wands, okay? But other than that, all of the meanings are the same. So the best way to learn in this short time would be to take notes, just maybe jot down a little bit of notes for each card of the meanings, or to possibly just jump right in. Obviously, you will have to get your own tarot deck. Maybe just try to start with a friend, tell them, hey, I am trying to learn tarot, and use your little jot down notes while trying to begin connecting with Spirit. This being said, Spirit does not like it when you use tarot for your own benefit. This is why it is good to try to practice with a friend when you are learning, all right? And before we get right into it, I just want to remind you, please push that subscribe button if you are not already a part of the Illest family. Give a big thumbs up because it makes my heart super happy. And ring that bell, okay, so that you never miss a pick a card reading. Or another thing I wanted to mention, if you guys are interested in learning the reverse of the cards, let me know in the comments, because a lot of tarot readers will tell you that the reverse is just the exact opposite of the divinatory upright meaning. However, that is not the case for every single card. For some, yes, but others, no. So let me know in the comments if you would be interested in learning the reverse as well. We're just not going to get into that today because we are trying to learn in as fast a time as possible. All right, so let's jump right into it. The Wonderland Tarot, okay? The first card that we have in the major arcana is the Fool here, okay? The Fool is really a lot of fresh energy. We see the Mad Hatter stands here on the edge of a cliff. He wears a hat that he made himself, and he is holding a slice of bread. His shoes are untied, and a hedgehog watches him, all right? So the Fool is really just careless, standing on the edge of a cliff here. He is everything foolish in all of its forms. He lacks careful thinking, and he has a disregard of consequences. Now, this can also stand for a mania or an excess in a situation, and it can also just be some real fresh energy. It doesn't always have to be bad. It could be a childlike, playful nature, okay? And that is the Fool. Moving on. Oh, and I wanted to mention as well, this card is card number 0, okay? So it's really just fresh, not even the beginning, it's before the beginning, okay? Moving on, we have the Magician. This is card number 1 in the major arcana, and we have Carol himself pulling a rabbit out of a hat. On the table are representations of the 4 suits, a flamingo, a hat, a oyster, and a peppermill, right? In the foreground, we see flowers common to the looking glass world and a hedgehog hole. We also see above him a grinning face of the Cheshire Cat here, okay? So, the card really represents the fantasy world of Carol's own making, a world where things can be anything that you want them to be. The divinatory upright meaning stands for a creator in all of its forms, creative souls, craftiness, a strong will, and the sense of seeing things done completely, okay? It can also mean a positive influence. So really just artsiness, craftiness, just a real creative soul, and just creating, okay? Just a very creative nature. Okay, moving right along, we have the High Priestess. So we see the High Priestess here is Alice sitting on a stool that is her looking glass throne, all right? She has the crown and the scepter of the White Queen, and her eyes are downcast from shyness as well as from exhaustion. Behind her is a sea of experience. On the entry are the letters B and J. No story can be told unless it passes through the priestess, for she has gathered the wisdom of the universe. The divinatory meaning of the High Priestess is really just wisdom and personal judgment. All that comes with maturity, intuition, and common sense. It also stands for the ability and the willingness to learn, okay? Virtue and emotion as well. And on the darker side, it could mean impatience, the inability to share, a person who is occasionally overbearing, or nevertheless, it could still stand for a good teacher. So the High Priestess has a little bit of darkness with her, but overall, she is wisdom, light, and just all of the wisdom, maturity, intuition that comes into the universe, all right? So next, we have the Empress, the third card in the Major Arcana. And we see the Empress is a sheep sitting in the back of a boat on the river, passing by an ever-changing landscape. She holds a multitude of knitting needles in her hands, and Alice is in the boat unseen in front of her. The entire journey actually takes place in the sheep's shop. The sheep is the ultimate woman figure, self-assured, level-headed, patient, and kind. So the divinatory meaning of this card, the Empress, is really a mother figure, okay, as well as the figure of a sister and wife, and could even possibly mean marriage. She has all aspects of feminine influence. She makes decisions based on humanity, not on her own best interests, although the two can often intersect. The Empress is a good partner, also very practical, decisive, intuitive, and a good motivator, all right? So this is really just mother feminine energy. Next, we have the Emperor. Now, the Emperor is masculine energy. The Emperor is also ruled by Aries. We see the Cheshire Cat, which is not really a cat, but can appear as one through his strange powers of teleportation. He's pictured sitting in a tree, grinning, and contrary to the general belief, he is brown and black, not orange or pink. Originally seen in the House of Duchess, he pops up now and then to give Alice advice. He is the wisdom, the floating conscious in Wonderland. It's assumed that Alice is not the only person to benefit from his insight as well. Okay, so the divinatory meaning of the Emperor is really the higher than king's essence, more worldly, wise, and confident, and also a symbol of stability, all right, and leadership as well as a male family member. Now, the Emperor card can also be meaning logic above emotion, a giver of aid and comfort, and sometimes an overly dominant person. That is the Emperor. Next, we have the Hierophant. We see in the Hierophant card the caterpillar sitting on his mushroom throne, smoking his hookah, and just thinking about life. He is not taking the slightest note of anything. The two sides of the mushroom, one for growing and one for shrinking, contrast the good and the evil sides of life. Caterpillar will disappear, leaving Alice to choose her own path occasionally. And the divinatory meaning of the Hierophant card is the wise one, a religious or spiritual leader, really mercy and goodness, or someone to admire and to look to for help. Okay, the Hierophant sticks with ideas that don't work sometimes, which can also give the representation of ritualism, reserve and introspect, otherworldly philosophy, and alignment with good or bad, except without proper balance. All right, so that is the Hierophant. Next, we have the Lovers. We see Tweedledee and Tweedledum, which are twin brothers and are the closest pair in either book. They are pictured here arm in arm, and above them is the crow who broke up their battle by blocking out the sun. This is the card of interaction between two people and among family and friends. It also represents unexpected events and meetings, as Alice met the pair by chance and as the crow surprised the twins. The divinatory meaning of the Lovers is harmony, as well as setbacks to overcome and confidence in the future. The Lovers card is ruled by Gemini and can also mean blindness to the future and its certain trials, as well as all aspects of love, especially that of friends and relatives. The Lovers can also stand for freedom and strong emotion. Okay. Next, we have the Chariot. Alice sits in a train right there. Across from her is a man wearing a newspaper hat and reading the newspaper. A porter is looking at something in the car, his binoculars obscuring all of his features except for his hair. So the divinatory meaning of the Chariot is body and soul really pushing towards a common goal, right? But possibly with too much speed toward a goal, without the actual end firmly in sight. Urgency and turmoil and revenge can also be seen, and an ability to focus on minor details that contribute to the big picture. Next, we have the Strength card. Now, the Strength card is ruled by Leo, as we see a lion and unicorn are engaged in mock combat. The lion wears glasses, and the unicorn appears to be winning, but the animals are actually equally matched. They each do what must be done for the sake of their own prestige. So the divinatory meaning of the Strength card is really just taking control of a situation, okay? Bravery, unwavering attention to a quest, the ability to overcome temptation. It can also stand for physical strength, as well as mind over matter and matter over mind. A Herculean effort for a personal end or for the sake of the world at large can also be seen in the Strength card. Next, we have the Hermit, which is ruled by Virgo. In the Hermit, we see the Dormouse sitting in a teapot, asleep as usual. His lantern sheds light on all. He dreams possibly of the past, possibly of the future. He is neither young nor old, aged or ageless. Most of all, he's at peace with himself. Okay, so the divinatory meaning of the Hermit is attempting to know oneself, your inner strength, discretions to withdraw from a fight, infinite patience, having caution, or sometimes the card can represent insincerity or hypocrisy, withholding of emotions, or fear of being discovered. The Hermit can also mean keeping to oneself or having unused knowledge that could help somebody else. The Hermit is not always a bad card. It could also mean needing to take time away for yourself, to really focus on yourself and build up your strength, or to really take control of the situation. The Wheel of Fortune card we have here, we see the dodo and the mouse, an owl, an eaglet, and a guinea pig, who have just completed a caucus race, whose stopping point is the hands of fate. Okay? All the opportunities are present, and many will be grabbed and held. The good and evil are both shown in this card, and the beginning and endings. All things that are, all things that were, and all things that are yet to be, like the wheel of life. Okay, so the divinatory meaning would be birth and death, anything unusual or beyond conscious control, the beginning and the end of a cycle, a resolution. It could be good or bad luck depending on the cards that are pulled with it. It could also mean going forward or retreating into trouble. It can also mean positive or negative depending on, again, surrounding cards. Okay, so the Wheel of Fortune a lot of the time will depend on the cards surrounding it. Next, we have Justice. Okay, now Justice is ruled by Libra, and it really can stand for karma that is to come to somebody, or a resolved issue. Now, on the Justice card, we see Father William standing on his head, balancing the scales of fairness between his feet. Behind him are the pillars that uphold truth. The curtains represent the blindness of justice or ultimate fairness. And Father William learned early on that when life is lived only to prolong itself, then it's merely existence with no meaning. All things must have balance. So the divinatory meaning of the Justice card ruled by Libra is really the light side of yin and yang, equality, a psyche and perspective. It can mean a fair solution or logic in life and deeds, impartially, and good advice and firmness of character. Okay, so that's the Justice card. Next, we have the Hanged Man, which is a lobster being hung by its tail, probably over a boiling pot. The lobster's fate, be boiled for someone's dinner, is already decided, but we cannot see it. We can assume that the lobster will be cooked for a king or a queen, and its life is in suspension, not yet in the pot and not out of the pot. So, does the lobster know his fate awaits, or is he confident in his immortality, as all humans and animals are? The divinatory meaning of the card is really one of change not yet realized. It could be a lull before a storm, a question between heaven and earth, a regeneration or disintegration of the spirit. Sometimes it can mean a decision needed to sacrifice one's goals or family for the other. The Hanged Man can also stand for an improvement and changing perspective and looking at things differently. All right? So that is the Hanged Man. Next, we have the Death card. Now, whenever anybody sees the Death card, they usually think it is bad. However, this is not necessarily true. The Death card is ruled by Scorpio, which is a water sign. We see here the Queen of Hearts points at something, an unknown person, shouting off with his head, or that's what we would imagine. Yes, because that is what the Queen shouts. One of the cards is lying down, playing possum so that he will not suffer a similar fate. The queen shouts a lot, but no one ever really dies. The victims change, so they will not be recognized. In the real world, those that die are in transition and will come back to live in another form. The divinatory meaning of the death card is really just change or transformation from one form to another form, or one situation to another. Changing maybe the end of a cycle or the beginning of a cycle, or maybe switching between cycles. Moving away from the familiar, loss of security, it can sometimes mean bad luck or an abrupt or gradual change. Worst case scenario, maybe the death card can mean an illness or a bad loan. So if you have the death card and you're thinking about taking out a loan, maybe think twice. Next, we see the Temperance, which is ruled by Sagittarius. I am a Sagittarius sun, so I personally resonate with Temperance. We see here the messenger takes a ham sandwich out of his bag. He wears the costume of an Anglo-Saxon page. He looks into the bag and sees nothing more than hay. He has one foot on land, one foot in the water, a underlying of forces that works on the body and the mind. A long road winds through the background. The road he has traveled to arrive and must travel in order to leave. So the divinatory meaning of temperance is really to take things into moderation, okay? What comes with compromise and capability, a mixing of things in unanimity and the ability to recognize and analyze. So temperance really means no excessive tendencies, maintaining a good image, possibly being too temperate at times. It can also stand for the past, the present, and the future. Okay, so that is the temperance. Next we have the devil. Now, the devil is ruled by Capricorn. We see the Jabberwocky, and he is pure evil. He has a long neck supporting a head with bulging eyes and 4 rendering teeth. His legs are outstretched in attack position, okay? The frightened hero is prepared to fight monster with the Vorpal blade. Jabberwocky is the story of a man overcoming a monster who has killed many people and terrorized the countryside. It illustrates the human hope that one day good will overcome evil for once and for all. So when we see the devil card, the devil card ruled by Capricorn, we are really seeing the presence of a toxic, possessive person or something that is toxic and possessive, okay? So it can really be insubordination, ravaging at will, all that is evil, bondage, okay? Maybe 2 people being bound together that shouldn't be. The devil card stands for failure, inability to attain a goal, dependence to the point of ruin, okay, so maybe codependency that is really just dragging us down and taking away from who we are as an independent person. And the devil card can also stand for violence and destruction or things that go bump in the night, okay. It could also be a bad temper with no humor unless malicious. It can also stand for strange experiences. So that is the devil ruled by Capricorn. Next, we see the Tower. Okay, And this card depicts two events. First is Alice grabbing at the air and the rabbit falling into the cumbersrim, which is a small greenhouse, as a result. And the second event is Bill falling after Alice has kicked him out of the chimney. Both creatures are extremely ruffled by the unexpected turn of events here. And the white rabbit thought that Alice was Marianne, his maid, therefore felt he could order her about. Alice got her revenge when she grew to mammoth proportions, and the rabbit was forced to change his position in the world after Giant Alice made shambles of his house. So the divinatory meaning that we are seeing in the tower is a rapid change that is happening for a specific reason, all right? And the universe crumbling something for something else that is better. We see failure of events to go as expected, beliefs that don't live up to their promises, and anything that is unforeseen with a negative implication, although it usually will end with something good. The tower can also stand for good friends that have turned bad, a loss of money, security, or love, and setbacks, disasters, sometimes insanity, disruption, and the end of grace. Okay, but usually it'll be something bad that is happening for a reason, but the reason is something much better. So next, we go on to see the star, okay? Now, the star is ruled by Aquarius, and in the star, we really have the sense of a rejuvenation, okay? We see the griffin sleeping consistently beside the water of life. Behind him are the mountains. 7 stars, 1 large and 6 smaller, are above him. The stars are of wishes and dreams, the most important gifts of the heavens. As sleep eventually brings waking, so is all of life a series of deaths and rebirths. Through this is the divination of the future and a clearing out of the past. So the divinatory meaning of the star is, like I said, really just rejuvenation. This card is ruled by Aries, and it's a card of hope, faith, and inspirations. The optimism of wishes, a bright future, learning from experience, really just some fulfillment, satisfaction, and many pleasures, okay? It really stands for moving easily towards a goal, and it also has a lot to do with astrology. Next, we have the moon, which is a card that is ruled by Pisces. We see the walrus and the carpenter sit on a rock, chatting with a group of oysters that they have invited for a walk. In the background, the moon is distraught because the sun has decided to shine in the nighttime, which is a rude imposition. The walrus speaks about trivial subjects while trying to decide which of the oysters to eat first. He laments their fate, but that doesn't stop him. So the divinatory meaning of the moon can really be the beginning of a new cycle or the end of another cycle, which would then lead to the beginning of a cycle. It could also mean deception in all of its forms, or trickery or deceit. Okay, so this could be bad motives, dishonesty, false friends, false pretenses. It can also mean you have unknown enemies. So don't fall for a trap when you see the moon card, right? Because the moon card can also mean being led to ruin. Next, we have the sun card. In the sun card, we see Alice meeting Humpty Dumpty, who sits on a wall holding a banner of unknown origin. He has just given himself a compliment and so is allowing Alice to shake his hand. the king has promised to bring around all of the horses and all of the men if Humpty Dumpty should fall from his perch. The divinatory meaning of the Sun card here is really just satisfaction and accomplishment and success. Okay, it is love and friendship, reveling in the pleasures of life, freedom from boredom, happiness, new or old friends, warmth, truth, and artistic achievement. Okay, so the Sun is really all things good, positive, and light. Next, we have Judgment. We see the white rabbit blowing a trumpet, signifying the beginning of the trial of the Knave of Hearts, who foolishly stole some tarts from the queen. In the foreground, the knave stands before a barrister on the table, where the tarts in question are there for the verdict to be given. The entire court is transformed into playing cards, which swirl around Alice, who then wakes up from her dream of Wonderland. So the divinatory meaning of the Judgment card is really just the confession of all sins, accounting for deeds and thoughts. It can also mean new life, possibly bettering oneself. Okay, so the Judgment card is really a good card. It can stand for a reward, spiritual self, warning of someone's unfair advantage, or the outcome of a conflict as well. So consideration of actions, really. In that way, Judgment card can be good or bad. It really depends if you're making the choice to better yourself or not. Now, the last card we have in the major arcana is the World card. In the World card, we see Alice stands in one of the squares that make up the Looking Glass world. Only a few steps remain in Alice's adventure, and then she becomes the White Queen. The symbolism is that of completion, okay, the ending of a cycle or a new beginning. So the symbolism is that of completion and having the world put into proper order, of things going the way that they should. The divinatory meaning of the World card is the goal to which all of the other cards have led, perfection, Eden, fulfillment at that completion, the end of the path to wisdom. Okay, it can really mean spiritual and life everlasting, a pleasant outcome in some cases, and what might be if the other warnings of cards are obeyed. The World card also stands for very high magic. So we saw in the beginning of the major arcana, we had the Magician, which was the creator and high magic. And then at the end of the major arcana, we have again a high magic card, the World. Now we'll go into the minor arcana. And as I said, we're starting with what would be swords and is Flamingos. So here we have the King of Flamingos, which is really the power of life and death. Okay, the king mitigates the excess of the queen. So it's really just wonderful, a very fair person. All right. Now, I just want to say that I'm probably going to go through the minor arcana very quickly because the major arcana is, you know, really the full plot of the cards as we saw the story go by in them, and then the minor arcana is just the small details we see in between. So that is all I'm going to say for the King of Flamingos. Next, we see the Queen of Flamingos. So the Queen of Flamingos really stands for sorrow. Often it could be widowhood. It could also be good, though, like intelligence with knowledge of the darker side of the world. So really learning from one's experience and mistakes that we won't make again. So one who has gone from happiness to failure at a time and is really not going to let history repeat itself. Next, we have the Knight of Flamingos, which is really rushing without fear into the unknown. This card can mean bloodlust and magnifies other cards that deal with death. With cards of wisdom, indicates foolishness, war, opposition, and heroism. So, depending on which cards this is seen with, as I said, the major arcana is the plot. These are just the details in between. Okay, next we have the Page of Flamingos, which is seeing beyond the surface. It could be a spy, vigilance, respect for authority, a person who will complete a task regardless of the danger, and it can also mean insight and discretion. The Ten of Flamingos can be a pain that feels like a violent death. It could mean a mental death, ruination, mental anguish, guilt that cannot be reconciled, and it can also mean trouble and misfortune. So this is one reason that I personally do not include the reverse of the cards, because I feel like there are enough messages in the cards, some good and some bad, that we don't have to reverse all of the good ones and make them bad. So that being said, I think I said in the beginning of the video, you guys can comment if you would like to have a video learning the reverse of the cards. They're not always just the opposite, as some tarot readers will tell you. Some are, though. So anyway, here's the Nine of Flamingos, which means an anxiety over a loved one, worry and concern, a quarrel or other major unhappiness. It can also mean despair and suffering, and sometimes desolation. The Eight of Flamingos can be censorship, bad news, temporary bondage, a person dominated by another person or by a situation. It can also be making one's own prison, a sickness, or a conflict, or something that you really see as a severe disaster. The Seven of Flamingos is a wonderful fantasy and a new hope, okay? It can mean confidence and perseverance, wishes, grand design for life and for pleasurable living. It can also be artistry of thoughts, okay? So maybe an artist and just a lot of wishes and hopes. Next, we have the Six of Flamingos. If you take notice, this is Alice sitting on the other side of the boat from the sheep that we saw as the Empress in the major arcana. So, the Six of Flamingos is a journey, usually pleasant, hoping for a fast solution to a problem. It can be success after many attempts, and sometimes it can mean a messenger or the end of a journey. Next is the Five of Flamingos, which can mean conflict. It can also mean a grave defeat, possibly the final battle. Sometimes it can mean new enemies arising or even disaster. The Four of Flamingos can really mean meditation and taking time for growth, okay? The Four Flamingos can stand for a rest after a long period of adversity. It can also mean sleep, dreaming in solitude, temporary abandonment, or hermitage, sometimes a tomb or a coffin, signifying the ultimate rest. Next, we have the Three of Flamingos, which can usually stand for some kind of heartbreak or disappointment, opposition and separation, a breaking apart of a relationship, or a delay or absence. Next, we have the Two of Flamingos, which can stand for balance in a conflict. Alternatively, it can also stand for friendship and harmony. However, We also stand the two of Flamingos, mind being out of balance, or false friends, or bad business dealings. So the two of Flamingos is really stalemate, the end of a conflict, but it can also be disloyalty. Lastly, in the suit of flamingos or swords, we have the Ace of Flamingos, which is a great effort leading to an overwhelming victory, okay? It can stand for strength, power, success, and even fertility. It can also stand for a conquest for the sake of conquest, so excessive behavior and deep emotion. Next, we have the King of Peppermills. Peppermills is wands in the traditional Rider-Waite Tarot. So we see in the King of Peppermills really just honesty and truth, the inability to understand bad motives, a fatherly figure, kind and yet sometimes quick to anger. We also see educated and sympathetic nature, often a man that is close with his family. The only thing to look out for with the King of Peppermills is it can sometimes, with the inability to understand bad motives, mean that you get hurt often because you are a kind person and you think that other people must be like you. So you get sideswiped and come into heartbreak. Other than that, the King of Peppermills is a great card to have. Next, we see the Queen of Peppermills. The Queen of Peppermills is an honest and homely woman, able to cure ills of the mind. A dark woman who is very secretive at times, sincere and charming though, and capable of love and affection. The Knight of Peppermills is really a journey into the unknown, an important message to be delivered, a general change in location, or really just running away or escaping a bad situation. It can also be a mysterious character. Next, we have the Page of Peppermills. The Page of Peppermills is a loyal and true person, a man who speaks well of others, a messenger or stranger coming to help. It can also stand for intelligence, a bearer of important news, and that's usually good news. Okay, so we like to see the Page of Peppermills. That means you will have good news in the future. Oop, upside down there. We're doing the Divinatory. Oh my gosh, is my whole deck upside down? No, just 2 cards. Okay, so here we have the Ten of Peppermills. And the Ten of Peppermills is giving into excessive burdens, being controlled by possessions, a faithful servant, the pressure of maintaining a lie or disguise. It can also mean selfishness or the loser of a dispute. The Nine of Peppermills is waiting for a fight, a mental standoff. It can be deterrent to enemy attacks, preparing for any difficulties, a pause in an ongoing battle, or just order and discipline in general. The Eight of Peppermills is swift activity, a sudden progress or movement, hasty movements, advancement to quick or easy assimilation. The Seven of Peppermills is the King of the Hill, okay? A brave person facing incredible odds. It can be business or competition, a debate, but it's really success and victory, all right? The Six of Peppermills is really a great triumph, a victory, as we see here, Alice putting on the crown, okay? So it's really just good news with far-reaching ramifications. It can be expectations rewarded, and also just a lot of hope and faith. The Five of Peppermills is youth imitating their elders, a future of constant competition, labor, or strife. The Four of Peppermills is the best of home and hearth, okay? The warding off of evils, romance or unexpected happiness, prosperity, peace, and tranquility. It can also be the achievement of a dream that leads to wealth and or happiness. Sometimes also with the Four Peppermills, we see the notion of country life or just really a rest after a long struggle. The Three of Peppermills, we have discovery of a new way, stability in a job or performance and abilities, a broad knowledge of the world, and the thrill of negotiation or trade. Oh, another reverse card. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, guys. You don't even know how long it took me to put my deck back in order to make this video. Oh my goodness. I should have recorded that. Anyway, Two of Peppermills. We see a man set apart, often a ruler, courage to face and contemplate the world, great riches and magnificent stature, not appreciated. In the Ace of Peppermills, we really have the beginning of all things. Life, love, business, and family. Really just the start of a new adventure in any way, okay? It's a meaningful experience, and it can also mean inheritance, fortune, and home. Next, we have the Suit of Hats, which in the traditional Rider-Waite would be cups. So, first off, we have the King of Hats, which is a good man. He's respected in business and in the community. He is a leader, a subservient to the current liberal, artistic, and religious. He's kind and can sometimes represent a scientist or a lawyer, and is just very adaptable. Next, we see the Queen of Hats, and in the Queen of Hats, we have a warm and loving person, sometimes absent-minded, but with unique vision. A good partner or friend, a sought-after advisor, practical, honest, and happy, poetic, and loved. Okay. The Knight of Hats is a message, an arrival moving up or forward, requests or challenges, attraction for a place or a person. So maybe it could be people working on the law of attraction, knowing that what you're trying to attract or manifest is soon coming. It can also be practical and honest. It's really a gift, opportunity, or invitation, or a proposition. Okay, so next we will see the Page of Hats. In the Page of Hats, we see a person given to intense concentration on studies or on a project. Reflective, loyal, helpful, and trustworthy, a good type for secretive work, news, or messages. Next, we have the Ten of Hats, which is home and hearth, serenity of a familiar place, all that comes with family and friends, someone looking out for you and your best interests, whether it be on the physical plane or in the spirit world. Next, we have the Nine of Hats, which is contentment, personal advantage, sometimes financial material gains, and business growth. And it can also stand for success, good health, and victory. Next, we see the Eight of Hats, which could be running away from responsibility or friendship, the yin and yang of choices, leaving behind that which is best in person, abandoning a plan or a goal, disillusionment, and making a great matter something that is really trivial. Okay, in the Seven of Hats, there are 7 hats with themes of dreams and nightmares. And the questioner will choose among them. The first holds a maiden, the second holds an unknown spirit, the third holds a serpent. The fourth holds castles, riches, the fifth holds the demon of hell, and the sixth holds jewels of wealth, while the seventh holds the crown. So the 7 of Hats is really just a goal within sight, desires, a dream fulfilled but unrecognized. Okay, the 6 of Hats is thoughts of childhood, nostalgia, the sweetness of memory. It can be a desire for the old, but without measuring the true worth of the past, and at times it can mean the future. Okay, the 5 of Hats can mean partial loss, seeing the broken and ignoring the whole. Can mean friendship without devotion, marriage without love, that which could be perfect yet isn't, an incomplete view of the world and of people. Next, we have the 4 of Hats, which can mean aversion to imaginary flaws, not wanting what is offered, a former bad choice, which influences all future choices, a need for perfection, or stagnant period of life. Here's another accidental reverse card. So sorry, guys, but really, it took me so long to get these cards in order. You don't even know. All right, so we have the 3 of Hats here, which can mean really just a happy solution to a problem. It can mean joy and dancing, healing of the soul, victory, solace, partial fulfillment, or even a compromise in a situation. Next, we have the 2 of Hats, which can be the relations between males and females, as well as between friends, discord with unity and happiness, and it can also be cooperation, marriage, or engagement, a mutual understanding or divergent opinions, or a new friend or relationship. In the Ace of Hats, we see something above the material world, the spirit of the universe, a happy home, beauty, and pleasure, something beyond the veil of the tarot, a great and unexpected opulence, goodness overflowing. Okay, and the last suit of the minor arcana is going to be Oysters, which would traditionally be pentacles in the Rider-Waite Tarot. So we have the King of Oysters here, which is a person of grace and charm with natural leadership and business abilities. It can mean intelligence, loyalty and success, courageous, and punctuality. Okay, next we have the Queen of Oysters, which can mean extreme wealth, magnificence and grace, serenity, liberty, just a lot of generosity as well as intelligence. Okay, next we see the Knight of Oysters, which the Knight of Oysters is really just mature and responsible, a really reliable, patient, persistent, organized, and dependable person. Also a person who's very confident in their spirituality. Next, we see the Page of Oysters, which can be an academic tradition, a plodding scholar, a love of the new, stable and loyal within boundaries, and this can also stand for a do-gooder. Another reverse card. Okay, 10 of Oysters here. In the Ten of Oysters, we really see abundance and happiness, okay? We see a full life, home and hearth, prosperity, riches and security, safety, and a longing family history, okay? So we really see a sense of inheritance here. Next, we have the Nine of Oysters. In the Nine of Oysters, we have an accomplishment, a feeling of safety, physical pleasure, and a love of nature, and really just discretion and foresight. In the Eight of Oysters, we see artistry, quickness of thought, modesty, straight talk, great personal effort for craft or art, and just really overall talent, all right? In the Seven of Oysters, we have a naive innocence, progress toward wealth and personal gain, moving away from old ways into new, and really just growth and a lot of hard work, okay? So next, in the Six of Oysters, we have generosity to those less fortunate, kindness and gifts from the heart, well-being that comes from kindness and giving, okay? So really giving out and attracting abundance to ourselves in that giving. The Five of Oysters means trouble, dissolution, insoluble problems, can also be an issue with family or a lover, and just really failure in a goal or in an attempted gain. The Four of Oysters can mean love of wealth, obsession with possessions, miser, selfishness, the inability to understand or support, charity. So really just selfishness. Okay, the Three of Oysters is nobility, glory, great renown or respect, a tradesman or a worker. It can also be fun with artistry, okay? So really just many different traits here. The Two of Oysters is fearing consequences of a new project, okay? So worry and embarrassment, and really looking into the infinite. So it can be an anxiety that really doesn't need to be there. We're just looking too far into the future. We're not there yet. Finally, the last card in the Minor Arcana and in the Wonderland Tarot is the Ace of Oysters. In the Ace of Oysters, we see paradise, perfection, contentment, money, the body and soul, gaining wealth, as long as items of beauty and value. Okay, so I hope that you were able to jot down a couple notes and that you'll be able to learn your tarot, even if it is the traditional Rider-Waite, as it coexists inside of the Wonderland Tarot the same. As I had mentioned, if you would like to learn the reverse meanings, which as contrary to what most tarot readers will tell you, are not exactly the opposite. Some are, but most really aren't. So if you would like to go through and learn the reverse of the cards, please let me know in the comments and we can do that. Thank you so much for watching my video. Please remember to subscribe if you're not already part of the Illest family. Ring that bell so that you never miss a pick a card reading. And please give this video a big thumbs up if you enjoyed it because it makes my heart so happy. Thank you so much, guys. And as always, remember, if it harms none, do what you will. Thanks, guys.